Morning, and thank you for having me here.
Captain, it's understood that this weekend's incident, the baby was left alone by the mother overnight and that she's been accused of child negligence in the past. Where is she now? And can you just tell us a little bit about this case?
Yeah, it's true. On Sunday morning, we received a call from the public to tell us that there was a baby in a shack, and we went to investigate. Upon investigation, we found that the baby had some wounds and the face was swollen. We then made further investigations, and that's when we realized that the woman had a case before, and the case is still pending, and the kids were now left in the hands of the grandmother. And we had taken the statement from the grandmother. We're actually looking for the lady so that we can now get her version of the story as to how did the kid end up in a shack.
So the lady is still at large?
The lady is still at large.
And I know it's an horrific story to recount, but the baby was eaten by rats. Is that accurate? Is that accurate, or is that not?
The preliminary reports by the pathologist who was on the crime scene indicated that, but now we cannot confirm that. We're actually waiting for the post-mortem results to come out sometime this week so that we can know exactly what happened to the baby.
Captain, you're with me in the studio. Let's just quickly go to our studio in Durban, where Joan van Niekerk from Childline joins us. Good morning, Joan. Are you with us? And thank you for joining us if you are.
Good morning. I am with you, and good morning to your listeners.
Child negligence is what we are talking about right now, Jonah. I don't know if you've heard the conversation. Is this something that you see a lot more, a big increase in South Africa, that children, especially babies, are left alone?
Indeed, we are very, very concerned about the problem. We literally get thousands of reports every single year about the neglect of children. And what we struggle to achieve is services for these children, and services that work with restoring the relationship between the parents or caregivers of these children and the children themselves. And I think it's reflective of a number of problems that we encounter in society at the moment. And one of the things that really worries me is that by the time the police are involved, it's usually too late. It's like closing the door after the horse is bolted, so to speak. We really need to be doing more in the way of prevention.
The other thing that's really worrying, John, and I want to take it further than simply negligence in this case, the cases of abuse seems to be getting more and more violent, and it's almost an end of days scenario where babies are being raped and the like. Where does that kind of behavior come from, and where does that leave us as a society?
Well, I think the contributing factors to this problem are multiple. And one of the problems that we have is that reaction is often very knee-jerk. So there's an outcry related to a specific case, but we have not as a country sat down with experts in this field, people with experience, and drawn up a comprehensive plan that looks at prevention from every angle. Prevention that is both primary, secondary, and tertiary. In other words, how to prevent negligence before it even begins. How do we promote the kind of bonding between parents and children, and I must include fathers here, that helps them realize raising this child is a big responsibility. If I really care about my child, I'm going to make sure that my child's needs are catered for, regardless of how and where I live. So primary prevention is very neglected in this country. Secondary prevention is what has just been described. This is a case that's been reported before. What services have been offered to this family, to these children, and to this mother, and also where is the father in this family? Because if we were to offer services at the secondary prevention level, perhaps we could have prevented the death of the child. Now we sit with a situation where we have a child who is deceased, the police are involved. Yes, perhaps in dealing with whoever has committed this crime, we will prevent them from committing another crime. But it is, as I said earlier, like closing the door after the horse is bolted. We need to invest more time, money, planning, and management into the primary and secondary prevention phases.
John van Niekerk, thank you very much for joining us. That's John van Niekerk from Childline, joining us from our studios in Durban, giving us a little insight into the sort of mindset that's really behind the kinds of awful cases of abuse. And now, Captain Mofokeng, let's just go back to Diepsloot quickly, because in the last couple of months we've had four horrific cases, really. Do you, as the South African police, do you see Diepsloot as a case in isolation, or is it a little microcosm of what's going on in the country?
What we think as the police is that the community, it goes back to the community. I mean, if you have a kid, you need to look after your kid. You can't allow your kid to disappear for more than 30 minutes not knowing where the kid is.
Yeah.
It goes back to the parents. I mean, it should be, your kid is my kid. You know, that's the challenge that we see as the police.
Community often is the big thing, is that we have to look after each other where we live. What has been the reaction of the Diepsloot community in the past service delivery protest? We've seen a lot of that sort of thing, but has there been a real outcry in the community after these latest cases?
Yeah, there are cases of outcry, but we also want to thank the community for assisting us with the previous cases where we managed to arrest the perpetrators and, assist with the investigation through the previous events, including with this one that is happening. We're actually asking for the community to assist us. We are aware that there are members of the community who are coming forward to the police. We're taking statements, but we still need more of their assistance into arresting or finding the mother of the kid.
Talking about the mother, what kind of charges is she facing now? And do you have any sort of leads, or should you make a call to people to maybe tell you if they've had any contact with her, where she could be?
Currently, we had opened a case of murder. We want to find out exactly what happened to the baby, whether was it killed, the rats bit him before or after, if the rats did bit him. And then upon arresting or finding the mother, we will then formulate more charges if there are any charges that are coming in. But we still need to have her story and understand how did she get the child in her hands, and how did she live, and how did the baby die.
Captain Mofokeng, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's a very nice insight, I think, for everyone. It's really a case that I think sits very close to the heart of many South Africans, and it's something that's very, very worrying. Thank you, Vince. Thank you once again.
Pleasure, and thank you for having me.